Okay, so let's start off with the terrain. This is actually rather simple. We're just going to use Go Brush. We're going to enable this brush by selecting a brush. I'm just going to select Volcano, and then I'm going to right click and it's going to toggle to enable. I'm going to jack up the size. I'm going to hold shift and left click to make the size go larger, and then the intensity will be doing the same. It's just a bunch of left clicks, and then pretty much everything else does not need to be edited, and you kind of just click down and kind of see what it looks like. That is far too big, so we're gonna just stack that way down to maybe the 95, and we'll go with that. I can stack that up a few times, and there we go, we have our island. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna now select our entire island. We are going to select the other side of our island with /2, and then we're going to do /smooth. Now, I've done this a bunch of times in my other tutorials, but I'm just going to kind of cover that in this tutorial right here. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the bottom of it, you're going to do /cut, and then you're going to look down, you're going to do /flip, and then you're going to /paste. Just like that. Super simple, super easy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to basically do two things. One, you're going to get a gunpowder and then an arrow, because we're going to be using VOXELSNIPER really quickly. And then we are going to use some VOXELSNIPER. Okay, now with VOXELSNIPER, we're going to do /BB, which stands for Brush Blend Ball, and then we're going to do B7, which is basically the size. As you can see, it's a fairly large size. You can use a smaller size if you'd like a little bit more control over the shape and such. Basically, the smaller you go, the slower it will be, but the more control you will get. And basically, I'm just going to kind of make a little bit of a hill on top of this build. It does not have to be anything too special. And then I can use the smooth, or the arrow, should I say, to smooth it just a little bit to make it look a little bit nicer. And voila, there we go. I'm not going to do too much because I'm not really bothered in a tutorial, but you can essentially smooth this out as much as you want. You can even use some hand smoothing techniques to make it just even smoother and a little bit nicer, and voila, there we go. Now we have our island. Okay, I'm going to start off with some boxes to get the preliminary shape and get an idea of what the castle is going to look like. Obviously, this is not a full castle. It's just kind of a replica castle, so it does not have to function like a castle, but I'm just going to continue adding shapes, windows, and then I'm going to paint it and continue to add details to it to make it look as good as possible with some windows. Flip it, and we're good. Okay, so now that the main structure is added to the spawn in the background so that our render point is valid and looks good, now we're going to be adding pathways to the secondary islands and then adding some houses to kind of give the whole map a better, more full feeling. Okay, so we're going to be using a technique that I have just recently done in a video, but basically we're going to do /cell convex. Oops, there we go. And then we're going to do /gmask too, because we only want to affect the grass. But then we are going to select our paths with this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do /spike, and then 57, and then 333, and that'll give us a nice path. Now that's not a very nice path, so let's add a little bit more curviness to this path, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And voila, now we have a nice curvy path that's very consistent, and you can do it really, really quickly. I can add paths onto this, so it's really easy to make all your paths in your level and whatnot. So we can definitely use this a bunch to get to wherever we want to go in our level, and it's as simple as that. Okay, so I'm going to start off with placing some houses around to get an idea of how full I want the build to be. Pathways all the way through the parkour and around the build so that I can allow people to venture anywhere they want. I'm going to add some ponds that have lots of little details like cattails, sugarcane, and some drip leaf and stuff like that to give it a little bit more detail. Water features are fantastic to fill area. And then I'm going to fix the path, and then I'm going to start with this little center area right here to give it a nice spawn. I love green spaces, so I add a little bit of green space on one side and then flip it over to the other side. adding some trees in very specific locations so that the main structure is not obstructed. You can definitely see me place tons of trees right in front of the main structure, and it just does not look good. And then I add a bunch of little flowers and other stuff like that to the build to give it a nice little effect. And then finally I fix the castle area and then add some clouds, and then we're good. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy this cinematic, and I'll see you later. Peace.